from the start. But you can see Newcastle having the form to put themselves up in the next level, between 13th and 15th, somewhere in there. But Everton don't look like they've got it in them to just make that leap up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first OT in a long time. And today we're joined by, a long missed face here on the channel. So why don't you say hello to everyone?
Hello, everyone.
With a bit more energy, Anthony. A bit more energy.
Good to be back. It's good to be back. 2022 is our year, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And why don't we get straight into this OT, where today's topic is, so we did a podcast months ago on the relegation battle, and we're going to take a look at this again. There were some big results for the relegation battle. I think 5 out of 6 teams at the bottom played on one day, and there were some massive results. Watford won, Burnley won, Newcastle got another point, and Everton slipped closer and closer to the relegation zone. So today, that's the topic we're going to be going over. And assuming that Norwich are destined for the championship, we'll be starting off with Burnley, who scored a 3-0 win against Brighton with goals from new signing Weghorst, Lennon, and I can't remember the third goal scorer, but I do remember it being a thrashing. Brighton have been quite good.
Was it Cornet that was the third goal scorer?
No. I do think a great player, though. Brownhill scored the second goal of the game. So, lads, do we really rate Burnley's chance do we think Sean Dyche can really pull them out of this?
Look, I'll jump in first. I reckon they might have a decent run. I think this 3-0 win might be just a little bit of a sort of a honeymoon period for their new signings as well, sort of something that might gel them together a little bit in the first couple of weeks. But I think, I don't think they're going to make it out of the relegation zone. I think the previous years, I think it was the last 3 years, last 4 years, they've been in that the 16th spot, the 15th spot. They've been teetering on relegation. So I think this year's the year for them.
Yeah. What was the question? Can Sean Dyche?
Sean Dyche do it? Can he do it, really?
Not with the Brexit football style he plays.
I don't know. It depends, because when you look at a team like Burnley, they're pretty hard to beat at home sometimes when they're on their day. I just don't think they have that attacking prowess, but I guess that's not what Sean Dyche kind of sets up for.
I actually think they've never had really exciting attacking players ever. Barnes, but Chris Wood being the ultimate example, Ashley Barnes, but I actually think this is the season where they've got some of the most exciting attacking talents I've seen at Burnley. Matt mentioned Cornet.
Yeah.
Fantastic player. I think he's fantastic.
And
Weghorst as well.
I was going to say Weghorst is a baller. Yeah.
They're probably some of the more memorable attacking players at Burnley as well. Because if you think back to recent years, if you say Burnley, everyone's going to think of Chris Wood. But you think back 10, 12 years, I probably couldn't name that many attackers from Burnley. Like, to be honest, I'm all in for Premier League and everything, but I don't think I can name like more than 5 attackers over the last decade for Burnley.
Yeah. It's just not. They've still got great players at the back. Tarkowski's still there. Fantastic. Great player.
Yeah, but Tarkowski never got to move anywhere, right?
No.
So,
but I think that move comes after they get relegated. I think it has to come.
But does it drop his stock if they get relegated? That's the thing.
Well, it drops the asking price.
Yeah,
I think is the key
thing.
thing.
I don't think anybody takes him
for cheap. I don't know.
I think he goes overseas. I think he's out of the Premier League. I think he goes somewhere like Italy or somewhere like
Burnley
France.
were asking like 40, 30 million for him, and no one was ever going to pay that much for him. But
no,
you told me I could get Tarkowski for 12 to 15. I'd take him
over Cat Kicker Zuma.
I'd take him over Diop, who, if Newcastle want to pay 40 million for Diop, fine by me. Take him. He's awful. Fantastic.
But don't you have Ogbonna as well?
He's out injured, though, for the rest of the season. So I would take, and his contract's up at the end of the season anyway. He might have played his last game for West Ham. So Tarkowski, I think, is not a bad shout. I can't think of many other defenders you could get on the cheap in the summer because there's not a lot of other great defenders at that amongst those teams going down. Is my concern.
Yeah.
Maybe Max Aaron's at Watford, but he's at a fullback position more than a centre back.
Yeah, but if you compare him
Yeah.
to Tarkovsky, it's not a close contest.
No.
Yeah.
The only real thing Burnley's got for them at the moment compared to these other teams that we're talking about in this OT is that they do have 2 to 3 games in hand for most of the other teams around them. And they're on 17 points. They're obviously 19th. Norwich, like Jackson said, we're just going to discount them already because they're 25 games on 17 points as well. But Burnley, they're in their last 5 games. They've got 1 win, 3 draws, and 1 loss. The next highest placed team to them has played 2 more games than them, and that's Watford, and they're on 18 points at the moment. So that's the only real saving grace I could see that Burnley might get through. But with about 2/3 or a third of the season left, or maybe just a little bit less than a third of the season left, there's still a lot of games to play, and there's still.
They don't have easy games coming up to.
No, they don't.
That's all.
Leicester, Chelsea, those 4.
That's what I was about to say.
They winning Palace, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Look, they can only rise so high before they start falling towards the end of the season.
But all it'll take is a few points, and I mean, it's not even about how good you are. It's about, are there 3 teams worse than you in the league? And if Norwich has already won, we got to figure out 2 other teams that would be worse than Burnley. Now, the first one to start is that team Watford, right? But their defense looks more so. I mean, we beat them 1-0. They won 1-0 against Aston Villa. You know, when Roy Hodgson came in, I didn't really know if he'd solidify that defense, but you know, the results are not as bad as they were for Watford. The last time West Ham played Watford, we beat them 4-1. Like
they have a really shitty end of the season though.
Yeah.
So United in the coming up, United, Arsenal, Everton, Liverpool, and that's just until the 3rd of April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's all points that they drop. Even Southampton, probably they drop to them.
Is Southampton home or away?
Southampton at home at St Mary's.
At St Mary's, yeah. Well, they'll drop that because out of their last 7 games, Southampton have 1 and 5 at home, 6 at home. Yeah.
The only saving grace might be a struggling Palace or a struggling Everton or something. But other than that, they don't pick up points because then they go into City and Chelsea.
They're not a team that you feel can cause an upset. I even think Burnley could get a draw against the top 6. I mean, they already have, Manchester United being case in point. But I don't know if Watford have it in them to also achieve those kind of results.
I don't think it's enough for Watford. Like, just look. I mentioned again the last 5 games. They've in their last 5 games, 1 win, 1 draw, 3 losses, and that's not something you want to see in 5 games. Like 3 losses, especially if you're in a relegation battle. I know you're not going to be the best team, but like you want to at least try and get those draws, try and get some points on the board, push for the wins. Like you don't want to be dropping 3 points to teams. I'm not sure who they play in the last 5 games, but say if it's someone like a 14th or 13th place team, you don't want to be dropping points to them.
Who are you talking about? Watford?
Yeah, Watford.
Yeah.
Those are the teams they have to beat.
So. The only teams you can see them beating, maybe Palace, maybe Brentford.
Everton they could pull off. Maybe
Everton.
Leeds as well.
Yeah, maybe. But nothing, there's no easy points there.
No.
I still think Roy Hodgson will push them there'll be a couple draws, a few more wins. They will pick up more points than they would have if they had kept Ranieri around, who wasn't a great appointment. I think Roy Hodgson's come in there and he thinks, I'm going to give this a go. And I think that I think Watford would finish above Burnley. Even if it was 18th, I think they'd finish above Burnley.
Yeah.
So I know you guys want to talk about Newcastle as well. Do you really think Newcastle even have a chance of being relegated? Because for me personally, there is no shot Newcastle get relegated this year.
I don't think they do.
There's no single chance for me.
After their signings, they're on in their last 5 games, 3 wins, 2 draws. They haven't dropped a game yet. 22 points. The only other a team around them that's looking shaky at the moment is Everton. So if Newcastle continue with the form that they're going for at least the remainder of the season, or at least 2/3 of the remainder of the season, I'm not sure how hard their games are, but they could edge themselves over, just like I think Aston Villa did a couple of years ago. That
Newcastle only need one win and they're suddenly above, like, with Brentford in like 15th.
That's the thing. That's how close the bottom half of the table.
But we don't consider like Brentford in a relegation battle.
No, and they haven't got a win in the last 5 games either.
I mean, for me, if they can even continue this form for a couple more games, I think they're good.
Yeah.
So if they can keep it going,
Trippier's
loss is bad though.
That affects them pretty big.
Yeah, but I'd need to have a look at their fixture list because I know there's still a lot of tough fixtures for them as well.
Oh boy,
But they've played Everton, beat them, like they beat the teams they needed to beat.
They've got
a really easy back half.
They do. They do.
Brentford, Brighton. Let's go Southampton, I guess. Everton, Palace, Wolves, Norwich. They've got a really easy back half of the season.
The only teams they'll drop points to, Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea are the 3 big teams in their back half, and even Arsenal as well. If you want to compare them,
Arsenal beat them. I think that's fine.
Those are the only real 4 games that you can see them dropping like points to.
Yeah,
or at least not dropping, but at least losing to. Yeah, they've got a real easy run in.
But then that leaves probably the most. I mean, Newcastle's momentum is upward, but for Everton, it's far worse. Their momentum is severely downward,
steadily declining or rapidly declining.
Not rapidly. Fast. I mean, I watched that Southampton game. I don't think they had a shot on target that whole game.
No. Well, they've only won 1 game in their last 5.
Yeah.
One win, 4 losses.
No shots on target. Yeah. Couldn't get the ball. It was horrible.
I mean, that was against the Southampton team that played okay. But
it was Southampton at home though.
Yeah. But
Southampton at home is pretty hard to beat as well.
But not even competing is the question. The fact they couldn't even compete at all with Southampton.
Yeah, when you're losing to like Norwich, Villa,
Norwich,
Villa.
At certain points, you see
Newcastle.
You see when managers take over teams from other managers, when other managers get fired, a new manager steps in, and they sort of have like a 2 or 3 week period of good games where they come through. They might get maybe a win or 2 wins or a couple draws and stuff like that. With this, Lampard's come in. They've got 1 win, but they've continued to lose as well. Everton's the team that I can see, if they don't fall into that like 18th spot, that they're going to teeter on that 17th spot, and it's going to be the last day of the season that decides whether they drop down or not between them and say Watford or them and Burnley. That's what I think. I think that last game of the season, I think they'll both be on the same trajectory, but that last game of the season will decide whether Everton drops or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems really set in stone for me at the moment. I can't see Everton going down. I really can't see Newcastle going down.
I think you're underestimating how bad Everton are.
Yeah, I think
literally all Watford has to do is pick up four or more points, and that's it.
Watford just has to win 2 games, and Everton just has to continue losing, and there you go. They've overtaken each other.
They're looking really awful. Like we're talking about. I mean, Everton don't look that like they're going to get a win for a while. They would really have to turn around their efforts, and you could see it. I mean, Lampard, I just don't know if I never really thought the Lampard appointment was a great one from the start, but you can see Newcastle having the form to put themselves up in the next level, between 13th and 15th, somewhere in there. But Everton don't look like they've got it in them to just make that leap up. So they look like they can get caught.
Just back to what you were saying earlier, just then, you don't think Lampard was the best, I guess, candidate for the job. But at the same time, who else was there? Like most of the other managers were being fired at the time. Most other guys were getting picked up in other areas. So it's not like really Everton had a choice. Like, who was it between? Lampard, obviously, and what Sam Allardyce.
Sam would be
Would have
better for
taken Big
this.
Sam.
Would have
Yeah,
absolutely
honestly,
taken Big
yeah.
Sam.
You definitely would have, but I don't know what Everton was thinking there.
Yeah, but I think they've burnt bridges with Big Sam.
They burnt bridges with a lot of managers. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way. That's why no one wanted to go there. That's why they had to pick Lampard.
I just think getting Ancelotti was just a strange managerial decision.
He's a good manager.
He's a good manager, but
Not
it
an
suddenly you can only go down. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It didn't feel like they could progress after that didn't work. Like
Yeah.
Rafa Benitez was a bizarre appointment as well. I mean, it's just like that squad is like a mix of players from like 4 or 5 different managers.
Yeah,
There's just no cohesion, and Lampard isn't good enough to bring them all together. So
exactly.
it's very possible.
Lampard
I mean,
is an
yeah.
incredibly overrated manager.
He would have gone. I think Norwich were trying to get him, but he chose Everton instead. The same
Well,
outcome, buddy.
I will,
Like,
I will say though, as much as I am a big Chelsea guy, it's hard for me to say it, but it is the truth. Gerrard's a better manager than Lampard.
yeah,
Easy.
much better.
Easy.
Yeah,
Easy.
Patrick Vieira is a better
Easy.
manager than Lampard.
Yeah.
But absolutely. So that being said, we've talked about each team. So I'll get your. So what we'll do is to wrap ourselves up. We're coming to the end of our time. I'll ask both Matt and Anthony, and then give my own thoughts on the 3 teams that are going to occupy the 3 relegation spaces at the end of the season. Anthony,
What was the question?
who are going to be our 3 relegated teams at the end of the season?
Oh, Watford, Norwich, and Burnley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt?
Watford, Norwich, and Everton. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for an odd shout. Hot take. Everton's getting relegated this season.
Norwich, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think that Burnley, even with the games in hand, it's too late, so it's going to be Burnley. But I think Roy Hodgson can do something at Watford. So for a bit of interesting, I'm going to say Brentford, actually.
Oh,
That's not even a bad shout. That's really not
it.
a bad shout.
But it is very dependent on Everton, Newcastle, and Watford. It's but just by their form alone, if there is a shift in form amongst the teams in the bottom, then they're the ones who are going to suffer. But that does require Everton and Newcastle to pick up their game really quickly.
Yeah, the obscurity of that is pretty big, but it's not unlikely.
That's not unlikely at all.
But it's a reminder that this relegation battle could yet expand and new teams get drawn into it, especially if Newcastle and Everton can turn things around. Suddenly, Brentford would find themselves in the 17th, potentially.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, no wins in the last 5, 3 losses, 2 draws. That's pretty poor.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do. But I think that's as far as it goes. I don't think any team above Brentford need to worry. I think they'll be all right.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Sounds
all right.
good.
Easy enough. Well, that wraps us up, everyone. So we hope you've enjoyed the return of the OTs, and we'll see you for more videos later on this week. I've been Jackson.
I've been Matt. Catches.